This is Carl at National RV Detroit, and I'm going to walk you through this 2021 No Boundaries, No Bow NB 19.3. Okay, so we have here a storage door, a bike door, escape door, whichever term you prefer. You can store small bikes in here if you need to, but you can put whatever you like there. This is obviously your griddle here. That griddle hangs right here, and then the LP hookup is right down there for it. You can see where I'm at. So that's where the quick connect for the LP is. There's a hose inside the trailer that you can connect to it. Okay, all right. So you got a power awning with LED strip. That's a sprayer port there, power. Of course, there's your sprayer, and there's the LP hose I just told you about right there. Okay, your legs are adjustable on your fold-down stairs. You just push this lever up here, and you can slide the legs up and down to adjust to the terrain as needed. Alrighty, so you also have, this is your hitch, of course. We'll show you how that operates when you come to pick up. It's a Husky centerline weight distribution hitch with built-in sway control, so it's a good one. You have two cranks. This crank here, if you can see it, this is in case your power tongue jack fails. You can always pull this rubber cap off, put the crank on there and crank it manually if you have to. The larger crank, the 3/4 inch crank right there, that's for your stabilizer jacks. Okay, now you have an LP tank, power tongue jack as we just talked about, a deep cycle marine battery, and a kill switch for the battery. So when you put it into the storage, you can kill the battery so it won't draw down as quickly. All right, let's see what we got here. That's your power cord there, 30 amp, 30-foot cord. You have the rack that your grill hangs on right there, and there's your dump hose. All right, so this is how you get water to the trailer right here. The most common way is just hook the hose up to the city water right here. If you go to a campground that does not have plumbing on the campsites, you can pre-fill your fresh water tank here and use your onboard 12-volt pump to pump the water. All right, this is the outside of your water heater. Let me take a look at it here. If I can get it open, yes. So this one works on both gas and electric. The thing to remember, the switches are inside the water heater, but for this switch right here, this rocker, let me get the tape off of it here. This rocker, which is off right now, controls the electric heating element that's behind this cover here. So just remember that switch is there. It's in the lower left-hand corner. It's an on-off rocker switch, and it will turn on and turn off the electric heating element. Now never run the electric heating element, or gas for that matter, but never run the electric heating element without water in the tank. Always make sure that there's water in there. You got dual axles, black tank flush here. Basically you got your valves right here. Black valve for the black tank, which is toilet water and waste. Gray valve for the gray tank, which is sink and shower water. Always dump the black first, right? And then dump the gray, because it'll help wash out the hose. And then after you dump the black, leave the gate valve open, and you can hook your hose here at the dump station, hook it right here, and you can turn on the water. It'll spray out the inside of your tank and clean it out really well, clean the sensors off. Okay. Also, while we're over here, this is the range hood vent. It vents to the outside. If you notice, there's a baffle in here. Right now it's flapping freely. You want it to flap freely like that when you're venting, using the fan to vent to the outside. Otherwise, you just push it shut like this. Okay? So when you're storing it, you want it shut. When you're traveling, you want it shut. But when you're venting, you want it open. Cable and satellite through, and this is where your power cord hooks to. All right. Also, this is telling us this is pre-wired for a backup camera. We do carry the backup cameras here. Basically, when you turn on your running lights, it lights up the camera so you can see when you're backing up or when you're going down the road if you choose. You have a ladder, so it makes it easy to inspect your roof. You're supposed to inspect the roof every 90 days or so. So 3 times a season you want to go up on the roof or have someone else go up there, check the sealant, make sure there's no cracking or separation, make sure there's no damage to the roofing material by road debris flying up there or low branches hitting it, make sure the vent covers are in good shape. Just give it a good inspection to make sure everything's good. If you see an issue, whether it's issue from damage or the sealant needs to be touched up, make sure you get it taken care of immediately. It's important to do that, and if you do that, you'll never get water inside at all. But you have to inspect your trailer. That's not this trailer, it's every trailer ever made. They're all the same in that sense. This is your hide-a-bed here. I don't know why I didn't have you hooked up here. Okay. Of course your couch jackknifes flat and the bed folds over it, which is a great way to reclaim your space during the day. Okay, so this trailer, let's start right here, I guess. We got some light here, more light here. Your awning light is right here, and your awning to extend and retract it is right there. Make sure you never leave it out unattended. Always, let's see here. Okay, always, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked there. Never leave it out unattended. Always make sure it's rolled in when you're not going to be at the campsite. Okay, I'm still looking here. Well, I'll have to look into that some more. There we go, there's your porch light. Your awning light, there we go. Okay. Okay, so, of course, this is your TV. This TV's got a radio and everything built right into it. Okay, this red light here tells us that your signal booster for your digital antenna is on. Whenever you're using the antenna, you want that on. Otherwise, you can shut it off. But you can shut it off like that. But like I said, you have to make sure it's on if you're using the antenna. This is a 12-volt TV, so you can see it's plugged into 12 volt there. Okay, so this trailer has let me just walk through it a little bit and look at everything before I start talking anymore. Make sure I'm seeing everything I need to see. Okay, so I see this has a power inverter. Power inverter will basically it converts power from 12 volt DC to 110 AC. That's inversion. This has also got a power converter, which is this device down here. This is typical in trailers. This converts power, converts AC to DC. So you start with 110 AC on this side. You got regular circuit breakers like you'd see at home, and they're all labeled. And then it converts the AC power over to DC, 12 volt DC over here with 12 volt fuses. That'll actually light up if they blow. You can see them through this perforation. Also, when you're plugged in, it'll tend your battery. Make sure your battery always stays charged. Okay. Before I go on to the inverter, I'll just point out that this is a carbon monoxide LP gas detector here. If it goes off, you want to take everybody outside, leave the door open, shut the gas off, make sure everything's okay. It should always be green like it is. If not, get it serviced. You also have a vacuum built in, and you can actually sweep the stuff right over to there and turn the vacuum on and sweep it right into the vacuum, which is a cool thing. Okay, your microwave is a convection microwave, but other than that, it works like any other microwave. I told you that you had a vent hood with a fan. There's the fan. Remember, it vents to the outside, so you always want to have that baffle open when you're venting. Okay, and your refrigerator is a 12 volt DC refrigerator. So it runs off 12 volt DC. When you're pulling it down the road, for example, it'll take DC power, 12 volt DC power out of your battery up front, and your tow vehicle's alternator will be charging the battery. When you're plugged in, it'll take 12 volts from the power converter here. So you're plugged into campsite power, and it'll convert that 110 AC to 12 volt DC, and it'll supply power to the refrigerator. Okay. Now, let me go back in here. See what we have here. Okay. We're getting 6.1 amps, which is excellent from the solar. 25.1 amp hours. Your battery has 14.1 volts, which is good. And like I said, you're gaining 4.1 amps that is being sent to your batteries to charge. Okay, so that's the charge rate. Now, only one plug-in here, possibly two, but generally it's only one, will be inverted. Now they don't have a sticker on it, but it's probably this one right here. By inverted, I mean you can turn 12 volts DC into 110 AC. Okay. Now they left this on, which they should not do. This is you only want to have the inverter on when you're inverting. There's no reason to invert power if you're not using it. So it'll only be like that. But if you have to plug in an appliance that runs on 110 AC, I mean it would run a hair dryer. It'll run things like that off of the battery, and the battery will be recharged by the solar panel. But it's not at we've got a little over 4 amps right now that we're gaining. It's going to use more than 4 amps, so it will not stay even. You will not generate enough power from your solar panels to run indefinitely. It'll still drain your battery down. It just feeds your battery to make it last longer, I guess is what I'm saying. So remember that. And when you want to invert, you just turn it on. And that's, like I said, I know I keep repeating myself, but that inverting is turning DC into AC power. Okay, just lights there. And I believe this is the plug that's inverted. I'll talk to the guy who prepped this. He knows, but he didn't leave a note for me. So okay. So we've showed you that it inverts power, turns DC to AC. It also converts, which all trailers convert. So it converts 110 AC to 12 volt DC here. And your monitor panel for your panel is right here. You would just select this button right here, the top right button. Now this is battery type. This has flooded batteries, although it just hasn't been set yet. I think we can do it that way. Wet. So we'll just leave it at wet. It should stop blinking in a second here. Okay, so we consider the batteries we have as wet. Even though they're sealed, they're still wet. They're not gel, so that's what we have here. Sometimes that wet will be called a flooded. It just depends on who's doing it. So there you have it. So you'll monitor your solar panel here. You'll monitor the voltage in your battery here, and your amp hours and storage right here. Okay. All right. So this also, while we're in here, this has another neat feature. This is a water miser, right? So what this is basically basically it cycles the water around in a loop. Normally the idea is you don't want to waste water heating it up, so you don't want to just send it down the drain while the water's heating up for your shower, because that would be wasteful of water in places that have water issues, shortages. And also when it goes down the drain, it goes into your gray tank, so you'd be wasting space in your gray tank by just running water down there till it heats up. So what this does is it loops it around, right? You turn on the hot water and it'll just loop it through the system and around and around and around without sending any water down the drain. Once it heats up, it will change color, noticeably change color. This one I think gets into maybe a lighter, richer blue. Some of them are different, but either way you'll know when it changes. That's when the water's hot, and then you could just put it to regular mode and use the shower as normal. It's just a way to save water and space. Now there's a diagram of how it works, so it can help you out there. But I just want to tell you that everything in here, whether it's this panel, whether it's the inverter, whether it's the shower miser, you can also go on to manufacturers' websites and look at their videos to educate yourself more if you want to. You can just basically learn as much as you want to doing it that way. So keep that in mind. Also, always run your fan with the shower. You want to be able to pull the humidity out of this trailer. It's built very tight. This is a 4-speed fan, so it's a nice one. The toilet, you always want to remember, if you haven't owned an RV before, is you can't use it dry, right? There's a flush pedal right on the front there. This is residual water pressure coming out. So basically, when I say dry, I'm talking about the black tank, which is directly below, right? So you get to the campground, you hook up your water and your power, then you'll come in here, because the black tank is empty, you'll have your chemical. They give you a sample right here. You dump a dose of chemical in here, and then step on the pedal and put about a gallon of water in there, and then you can start using it. The reason you do that, you can't use it dry because the smell will be really, really bad, and it also can clog up. So anytime you're starting off with an empty black tank, you got to put about a gallon of water in there. Some people use more, it's up to you, and a dose of the chemical. So just keep that in mind, otherwise you'll regret it, trust me. Okay, so your table drops down into a bed here, of course. I think I about covered it. Where's the thermostat? Over here. Your thermostat is right here. So you just hit the mode button and it'll go through heating, cooling, and fan. Always try to run them on auto. That's important. And the fan is just the air conditioner running without the compressor. It just circulates air, okay? You have heated holding tanks. There's the 3 different tanks, fresh, gray, and black. So you can heat them up so they don't freeze over, and you can camp longer in the going into the winter and go out earlier going into the spring. So it extends your camping season. Your water pump is right there. It was off. The water heater, the gas lighter is right there. I showed you how to light it on electric or start it on electric by that switch in the lower left-hand corner. Okay. Your battery's charged. Fresh water's got a third. Black is empty. Gray is empty. Obviously, it graduates up in 1/3 increments as it fills. Once you get past 2/3, you got to start thinking about dumping the black tank and gray tank. So keep that in mind. All the switches have some of them master. Other ones you have to push the button in the middle. Whoops, I wasn't focusing on that. So sorry about my camera work as usual. So this small trailer has a lot of great features, a lot of state-of-the-art stuff, which is pretty cool. Please, first of all, thank you for buying your trailer here at National RV Detroit. And second of all, remember what I said about inspecting your trailer. Any place you see sealant from the factory on the sides of it, you inspect. Check out the corner areas. That's important, for example. And when you go on the roof, check the sealant on the roof. It's a lap sealant called Dicor, right? So always use the right stuff when you're going to touch it up. Don't just go to the hardware store and buy silicone or regular silicone. You got to get the correct stuff. And it's easy enough to do. It costs like around $10 for a caulk tube of it. So it doesn't cost a lot. It doesn't take a lot of time. But it's important that you inspect all the seals and keep them good and tight. And that's, like I said, that's not this trailer. It's every trailer ever built. So I just want to reinforce the fact that you need to do basic maintenance on it. And when I tell you it'll never be wet inside, I'm not exaggerating. It'll always be bone dry as long as you keep after the sealant. And it could be years. It could be years before you have to touch anything up, but you're just inspecting it to make sure, okay? All right. So, like I said, there's a lot of great state-of-the-art stuff in here, and it's packed full of good current features. So it's a nice trailer. Okay. Thank you very much.